All right, who are the best Georgia Bulldog wide receivers in program history? That's what I'm going to talk about in today's video. I think in the past I've made a topic similar with quarterbacks. I think last week I made one with running backs, and I think it's a really good topic for conversation, especially in late May, because I think there's only one clear-cut, unanimous number one. I think everyone will agree that AJ Green is the best, most talented receiver to ever come through the Georgia program. But after that, I think it's up for debate. So let's talk about it. Let's get into it. First, I do want to talk about AJ Green's greatness. If you don't think he's the number one receiver in program history, let me know why in the comments section, right? From a talent perspective, production perspective, the guy had it all. Third all-time in yards, 2,619. He was third all-time in program history in touchdowns with 20, 166 catches. That was fifth. But you got to remember, he had three different quarterbacks throwing to him. As a freshman in 2008, coming in as one of the best high school prospects in the country, he was an elite receiver that everyone wanted. Georgia got him, and he had Matthew Stafford throwing him the ball. He had a really good freshman year. 2009, he had Joe Cox throwing him the ball. Yikes. I mean, no offense to Joe Cox, but he wasn't very good. And then he had a true freshman, he was a redshirt freshman, but freshman Aaron Murray in 2010. So three different quarterbacks throwing him the ball, but he was unstoppable. The size, the ball skills, the body control, the big playability, the way he could snatch the football out of the air, the one-handed catches, the jaw-dropping plays. AJ Green, easy number one. Number two might be a little different than what everyone else is thinking. So I'm going to get into that. But first, collegebronze.com. Look at this bad boy right here. Get yours for Father's Day. It's the best Bulldog statue on the market. Best you'll find. Made in Roswell, Georgia. So if you want to support local small business and get yourself one of these bad boys for Father's Day, go ahead and do it. You can do it in the description below. All the info is there. And make sure you get the discount. Promo code DOGPOST. DAWGPOST. It's pool time. The summer's here. Get your Bulldog for the pool, the office, front porch, wherever. He's got the G on the front too. What more do you want? This guy's the best. Get yours today with the discount. Promo code DOGPOST. Perfect Father's Day gift. Okay, my number two, Terrence Edwards. He's not the most talented. Never really played in the league, I don't think. He was a big Canadian football star, but he's first all-time in program history in catches, first in yards, first in touchdowns, 204 catches, 3,093 yards, 30 touchdowns, the only receiver to ever hit the 1,000-yard mark, as productive as it gets, the most productive receiver to ever play for the Georgia Bulldogs. So I have him at number two. Number three, I think you got to put Hines Ward there, right? I mean, he did so much for that Georgia offense, but in the end, he caught 144 passes, ninth in program history, just under 2,000 yards, 1,965 yards, 12th in program history, and 11 touchdowns. Should be in the Hall of Fame in the NFL. I don't know why he's not. One of the more physical blockers of his time. 1,000 yards, 1,000 catches. Two-time Super Bowl champion. Are you kidding me? He should be in the NFL Hall of Fame, and he is my number three wide receiver in program history. Number four, I went back and forth here between Freddie Gibson and George Pickens, but I went with Fred Gibson mainly because of the production, and I loved watching him play as a youngster. He was one of my favorite players. Had the size, had the ball skills, had some big catches, helped Georgia beat Florida in 2004, had a massive catch against Alabama in, I believe that was 2002 in Tuscaloosa. I think it was him who had the big, long catch against Auburn right before the David Green to Michael Johnson touchdown in 2002 to help them win that SEC championship, or win the East at least. But I think right before that, it was Fred Gibson who had the long catch down the sidelines that set them up for that game-winning touchdown. But Fred Gibson, 161 grabs, sixth all-time, second in program history in yards, 2,884, and fifth in school history in touchdowns, 20. But he was fun to watch. He was a playmaker. He was a playmaker who could stretch the field vertically. I love watching him play. That's my number four. And then George Pickens, for me, coming in at number five, only had 90 catches, 1,347 yards, 14 touchdowns, 2021 national champion. George Pickens had a big catch against Alabama in that game. I think he only had one catch in that title game, but it was big. It was down the field. Missed basically almost that whole season, right? So that's why the numbers aren't exactly there. But obviously, as far as talent goes, he might be the second or third most talented receiver to ever come through the program. Big playability. He lived up to the 5-star ranking, made an impact as a true freshman, only stayed for those 3 years. But, the numbers aren't there. A lot of reasons because he was hurt. And he had, Jake Fromm throwing to him. That wasn't great, but he did have Stetson Bennett throwing to him towards the end to help him out a little bit there. But George Pickens, absolute dog. Y'all know it. So he's my number 5. I got Ladd McConkey at number 6. Why not? 119 catches, 1,687 yards, 14 touchdowns, 2-time national champion. What he did against TCU, the 2-touchdown performance, one of his best games. What he did against Tennessee in 2022 earlier. I mean, one of the best route runners you'll find. Big playability. He could stretch the field, short passing game, the screen game, the ability. He was so dangerous after the catch, but the guy could run around and create separation as well as anyone. Almost first-round pick, but again, 2-time national champion. Made a lot of big plays. Former 3-star that absolutely blew everyone away in Athens. Like it or not, he's one of the best receivers to ever play for the Georgia Bulldogs. So I've got him at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 7, another one of my favorites, Malcolm Mitchell. His recruitment was a big deal. Big-time prospect out of Valdosta. Could have been an elite defensive back. But I believe it came down to Georgia and Alabama. A lot of people thought he was going to pick Alabama. He picked Georgia and had a phenomenal career. 174 catches, 4th in school history, 2,350 yards, 7th in school history, 16 touchdowns. Had the massive catch and run against the Gators. Was that 2012? Aaron Murray to Malcolm Mitchell. Broke a few tackles, scored a touchdown there. I think the Gators were like number 2, number 3 in the country. But the guy was a very good wide receiver. Went on to win the Super Bowl with the Patriots over the Falcons. We're not going to really dig into that, but the hype was real out of high school. And he was a phenomenal player, extremely dependable, reliable, another guy who creates separation. Aaron Murray loved him, and it was easy to see why. Malcolm Mitchell, probably a guy that unfortunately people forget about, but without a doubt, one of the best wide receivers in my opinion in school history. So I've got him at number, the math is bad. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Okay, Malcolm Mitchell at number 7. Number 8, so I don't have to count again in my notes, Muhammad Massaquoi. 158 catches, 7th all-time, 2,282 yards, 8th all-time in program history, 16 touchdowns, 10th in school history. So he's a top 10 wide receiver. If you look at the production, I don't know if it was his sophomore year or junior year where he had a little bit of an issue with the drops, but more often than not, he was a reliable go-to option for Matthew Stafford. Came in, I think, in that 2006 class, Independence High School with Joe Cox. But he made an impact as a freshman for sure in 2006. In 2007, he had a big game against Florida. Had the monster catch early in the game down the field. Did the Gator chomp there. Got the penalty. But he was a really good receiver. Game-winning touchdown catch against Georgia Tech. I believe that was in 2006. Could have the years mixed up there. But Muhammad Massaquoi, another guy who kind of goes forgotten, but he did play in the league. He was a good player. Absolutely. I think he's a top 10 wide receiver in program history, and the numbers speak for itself. Okay, honorable mentions. Tavares King. You could make a case he's a top 10 wide receiver in program history. I think the numbers would say that he probably is, but in my opinion, probably right out. I mean, I guess I've got 2 more spots for my top 10. I just wrote 8 down, so maybe we sneak him in there. Bryce Hunter was very good. Mecole Hardman, big plays, speedy guy. He made some plays. I think he's for sure honorable mention. Juan Daniels, Andre Hastings, Reggie Brown. Reggie Brown was a baller in the early 2000s. Big play guy. I think he's, if you didn't watch him play, you forgot how good he was. Numbers may not be there, but when the ball went his way, Reggie Brown made some plays. Of course, Lindsey Scott, he had one of the biggest plays in program history against the Gators, 1980. Maybe still the biggest play in program history. Michael Bennett, Alpharetta High School, former 3-star. He turned out to be a lot better than people thought. I definitely think he deserves an honorable mention. And then Chris Conley, who is still playing in the league, he made a lot of plays in Athens as well. So, what do you think? What are your top 10? I know not everyone's going to agree with me because, again, this one's up for debate because I think you could go a lot of different ways. I think number 1 is clear. That's AJ Green. After that, I'll hear you out. What do you think? Drop a comment in the section below. Just an off-season video. It's late May. We're going to dig into some recruiting stuff later in this week, I promise. But again, make sure you get your Bulldog, okay? collegebronze.com. All the information right below, down in the description. Get yours. The perfect Father's Day gift. Look at this guy. I mean, he's the best. Get yours today. Promo code DOGPOST for the discount. Don't forget that. It's very important. DAWGPOST. And after you do that, I'll see you on the website. I'll see you on DogPost, where all the real information is. All the scoop. It's over there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video, and I'll see you on the website.